Hi, I'm Kale. You're on City Exodus.
Hey guys, I wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on in the past week or so. Kim and I have officially put our notices in at work. Our last day should be the 15th of December, mid-December. So I wanted to share with you the experience I've had at work prior to putting in my notice at work. I'll tell you, I've been at this job for a long time. Well, a long time for me. It's been the longest job I've had in my career. It's been 10 years. I actually hit my 10-year work anniversary at my job, and you know, the people there are wonderful. They treated me well. I've grown up in that company, and there was actually talks. My boss and some other people had approached me about possibly giving me a promotion. And although the job promotion may sound enticing, I have to remember the time that it takes away from God and from my family. And you know, the job requires a lot of hours. You know, I've worked anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day and on call at night, and so it does keep you really busy. And if you know what busy stands for, if you spell busy, it's spelled B-U-S-Y. It's being under Satan's yoke. And so it keeps me very busy, and I don't have time to do a lot of things that I want to do, especially my communion with God. And so it reminds me of a passage from Maranatha, from page 126 of Maranatha. And it says, "Many, even in their seasons of devotion, fail of receiving the blessing of real communion with God. They are in too great haste. With hurried steps, they press through the circle of Christ's loving presence, pausing perhaps a moment within the sacred precincts, but not waiting for counsel. They have no time to remain with the divine teacher. With their burdens, they return to their work." In my head, I knew that I had my heart set already on where I needed to be and what kind of work that God was promoting me to do. Since the beginning of our journey. So very hard to walk away from, but you know, the promotion I was given was something that I had set a goal to when I had first started working, that I wanted to achieve. But as things happened and as my experiences with Jesus started happening through the past few years since my baptism, God is leading me to other things. And so sometimes it takes a little paradigm shift as far as what we're used to and accustomed to, and what our goals used to be. But now things shift when Jesus enters your life, and we're to be created into new creatures. And so as my mind has shifted gears into keeping my eyes focused on Jesus, opportunities have come, and although it seems as if there's hardships also and roadblocks and obstacles that we face when we decide to make that move to the country, there'll also be some things that look enticing that may lure you to stay and not leave. And so I just wanted to encourage you all that keep your eyes on the prize, and our prize is Jesus. So we also went to Chandler, Arizona, where the location of our manufactured home, the dealership is over there. It's called the Home Outlet, and we decided to look at the home to see if this is really the home we wanted. This is the first time we saw it in person. We did see it on YouTube on their channel to see the insides of the home, but we actually got the feel for the house. We put down our down payment of the home, and we just saw it, and it did look very homely, and for a manufactured home, it really felt like our house in the suburbs inside. And so since we put the deposit down, we actually purchased the home so they could start building it. We chose the colors, the interior, the countertop colors, the colors of the baseboards and the floors and the tiles and different things. And there's so many different options, but as you ask for more options, the more expensive it gets. So we really got down to the basics. We've paid a price of I'd say about $72,000 with a down payment of $25,000, which leaves $50,000. Over 23 years with tax and insurance, that home will be about $450 a month for 23 years, which is just a fraction of what we paid before. So I also wanted to just say, start today, don't delay, pack and pray. one of the things that I want to stress for this episode is that you really need to plan and pray. That's a big one. Counting the costs. For every move we made, whether it's selling the home, we had to hit that certain number that would get us, the amount to start with in order to buy the home and the well and the solar. With every decision and everything we needed, we prayed and planned every move. So don't think we went into this just saying, okay, we're going to get this house and this and this. No, there's a reason why we chose this particular home outlet. They had the cheapest price, and they were the only ones that will be able to finance us. And keep in mind that this is our only debt. The only debt we'll have is this loan, because we're pretty much paid off. So we planned it so that our debt would all be paid off with the sale of our home. That's why it was so important that we had to hit a certain number when we sold that home that only the divine realtor could have given us. And so my advice to you from our experiences that we've had is that plan every move. I spent a couple days when I was off. I took days off just to call for solar prices, call for well prices, call for home prices, called different mortgage companies that would give us the financing to finance someone that's going to be off grid. I called for septic tanks. I called for and compared prices to see who would do it. I tried looking into water harvesting versus digging a well. What are the costs? Researching how much rainfall we have that year and how much different things. I definitely recommend that you plan every move, because not only am I saying this to give you advice, but as I've read in several readings that I want to share with you, is you can't expect that God's going to do all the work. And so you can't just pray and say, God, just give me this and give me that. And if you want me to go to the country, then you're going to do this. And I'm just going to just pray and hopefully it's going to fall in my lap. No, you're going to have to put your efforts into it. And so I wanted to share with you today a couple of passages that I came across during this whole journey of me planning and praying and planning and praying. For every plan I made, for every estimate, for every phone call I made to these different manufactured home dealerships, to every solar power place, God has led me to the best deal I can get with the best quality so far that I've seen. And I'm just gonna have to put my faith that my efforts, along with God's omnipotent power and his source of all, will just come together, and it will turn out best, because I know He does want us to move the country, but we also need to put our efforts into it. So I'm going to read from Prophets and Kings. I've been doing my studies on Prophets and Kings and reading chapter by chapter, and this came up in Prophets and Kings, page 617.1, and it reads, Ezra recognized the necessity and value of order and organization in connection with the work of God. Also from Prophets of Kings says, having sought the Lord in the days of prosperity, the king could now rely upon Him in the day of adversity. His petitions showed that he was not a stranger to God's wonderful power. But in time of peace, Asa had not been giving himself to amusement and pleasure. He had been preparing for any emergency. He had an army trained for conflict. He had endeavored to lead his people to make their peace with God. With full assurance of faith, we may expect that He will unite His omnipotence with the efforts of human instrumentalities for the glory of His name. And so, as we've seen from Asa, during those times of prosperity, he just didn't kick back and relax. He actually prepared. He prepared, and he strengthened his faith in God. And as he did that, when time came, when the time of crisis came, when he was outnumbered with the soldiers approaching his kingdom, he was able to rely on God with no fear, because he knew that he was in the right hands, that God would lead him and God would help him succeed and not be conquered. And so I have one more, and it's from Prophets of Kings as well. It was from a chapter on Nehemiah, and it says this: Nehemiah did not regard his duty done when he had wept and prayed before the Lord. He united his petitions with holy endeavor, putting forth earnest, prayerful efforts for the success of the enterprise in which he was engaged. Careful consideration and well-matured plans are as essential to the carrying forward of sacred enterprises today as in the time of the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls. As you've seen just from Ezra, you can see how it's so important to be organized in connection with the work of God. And then you see from Asa how important it is to be prepared even during the times of peace and prosperity, when things are okay. It doesn't seem like we're going through any troubles at the time, anything major. And so during that time is when we should prepare the most, for when the time of crisis comes, you'll be prepared. And in Nehemiah, you see Nehemiah, he said it didn't stop at just weeping and crying and praying and crying for the Lord's help. He put effort into making plans. And so, again, friends, as you look forward and look to moving out of the city, we've seen 3 examples of men who prepared. So I encourage you to do your homework, do your research, looking for land, looking for pricing of land, but not only that, but the cost of living, calculating, budgeting. All these things need to be done strategically, if you will. And anyone, if you need help, please, you can contact me. There are several other people. I'm sure there are so many people who are moving out to the country that I hope that you could reach out to, through forums. I'm actually on Facebook on Adventist Country and Adventist Country Properties. There are different groups and forums that you can reach out to help you find resources, and these are resources that you can use to really plan as well. So pray without ceasing, but also plan with God's help. Pray for Him to lead you to resources, because He is the ultimate source of all the resources. So you definitely need to pray, but plan as well. So pray and plan is a message for today, and I hope that you are encouraged at this message. Please just know that we are also here for you. If you need anything or any information on what we did, we will definitely share with you more details. God bless and take care. Be blessed and be a blessing.
Jesus is coming again. Is God.